Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the show. We've got a great show today. And everyone's clapping. Calm down, calm down. And remember that we're live. So if you have questions for our guests, make sure that you're putting them in the comments. If you're watching live on YouTube, Facebook, or on LinkedIn right now, it's a party around here. It is a party. And Anne just got here. I just saw her pop up, so that's very exciting. Let's do a view count, shall we? Let's see where we're at for views so far of this show. $238,394 times the show has been watched since we started last June. I cannot believe it. We started with 100,000 in January. So we've done 138,000 so far this year. We're only in the middle of February. Amazing. All right, let's start the show, shall we? Because it's a good one, and I'm excited. My first guest started his journey to happiness with a conversation with his kids. He's the author of Your Happiness Equation, a book born from real-life conversations and travels across the country, interviewing people about what makes them happy. He also has a documentary about it on YouTube. His approach is down to earth and relatable, and he's here to share what he's learned and how it can help you. Please welcome Leighton Campbell. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for being here. Congratulations on just jumping into 2025 with a bang with all of this.
Yeah, I heard a podcast and they asked, like, where are all the hyper productive people? And it really kind of lit a fire under me. So I was like, man, I want to hit 2025 guns blazing. So here I am.
And you are. Do you want to talk about the documentary or do you want to talk about the book first? What makes more sense to you?
I'll talk about kind of both. They're kind of linked together. So the documentary is basically just a documentary of the book tour that I had. Essentially, it was myself and my brother, and we went on multiple cities. We started the tour in Florida, where we live, and then we went all the way up to the Canadian border.
Wow.
And we stopped at a bunch of places along the way, and we did many street interviews. So we set up shop, and then we would just pull people into an interview where we would ask them the 7 happiness equation questions and give them their score on the spot, and just kind of have a conversation with them. And some of those interviews were absolutely hilarious. Some of them were really heartfelt, and everything in between. So it was a really amazing experience. So that's kind of what the documentary is going to talk about. It's going to just talk about that journey. In terms of the book, so the book that I wrote is called Your Happiness Equation, and basically, of course, it's about happiness. I developed an equation to give people a happiness score on a 0 to 100-point scale, and basically, you answer 7 questions, and then you get your score. Now, the score is just a number. The more important things are the factors in your life that contribute to your happiness. So we try not to get people too hung up on trying to like maximize their score, because I'm sure you know hyper productive, hyper competitive people that will just drive themselves crazy and make themselves extremely unhappy by trying to maximize their score. That's kind of
Because I took the quiz.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes. And you can take the quiz too. It's at yourhappinesseq.com.
Yes.
Yes,
Tell
I
me
did.
about it.
I got an 84.
Okay. Do you feel that was representative of your general happiness level in life?
Yeah. I am one of those people that like I really analyze questions like that and quizzes like that, because I'm like,
Okay.
how do I how do I want to come off? You know, is it like what are my goals as a person? I always think about that. What maybe more realistically am I right now? So I feel like I'd say that was pretty close to being on the mark.
Which question made you think the most, if you remember the questions that you took?
I think what kind of messed with my mind or made me think the most is maybe the like what's the word? The one that it's like highlighted right away. You know, like the what do you call that when you're in there? Like with the list, the one that like is
Oh, the default.
auto-generated.
Yeah, the default
Default, thank
question.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, then I was like, well, wait, is that like what most people are, or is that just like random, or should I be picking that, or should I pick something else? That
Yeah.
I think was what made me think the most.
Okay, got it. So unfortunately, we're not working with like a humongous budget, at least now. We'll see where it goes. So that was the quickest programming way
Mhm.
to have it. I wish it could have been blank, but we had to have a default somewhere. So we try to put it right, right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But
that
that's
was my like. What is that? The one that most people like? That's where my brain went. So I was trying that. So once I was like, this is not about everybody else. This is about you.
about you.
So
Exactly.
think about it. Yeah, but it was
Interesting too,
interesting.
because my score is an 84 also.
Oh.
Yeah. I wrote the book and I proselytized this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're being honest with yourself, and I try to when I do it, that's where I fall. And I know there's
Mhm.
one thing in particular that I need to work on, and that's just getting over things quicker. Yeah.
Yes, that was a question that I had that it took me a long time for a while. Like I
Okay.
that was my first response.
Okay.
And then I think I went back to like whatever the middle one was because I was
Moderate
like,
time.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I was like, well, then it depends on what it is, and like all that
Exactly.
stuff. But
Sure. Sure.
where did this mission come from to do this?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy story, but it started from a conversation with my kids. We were sitting around, and we have all types of crazy conversations with each other, and like nothing's off the table, and we'll go deep if they want to go deep. So I was like, "Hey guys, let's come up with an equation for happiness." And then we started talking. They're like, what, I was kind of moderating it. What kinds of things do you think would go into determining somebody's happiness level? So they're talking, I'm moderating, and at the end of it, I'm like, man, I think I got something here. I think this is actually pretty decent. Now, that was
Uh-huh.
a very rudimentary version of the equation, but I'm in a networking group and I was the educational coordinator at the time. So every week we had to bring an educational topic to the group. So I took that week and I kind of polished up the equation a little bit, did a little more research and reading and so on and so forth, and still rudimentary compared to where it is now. But I did that presentation in front of 40 of my colleagues, essentially. And I got a response back from them that completely blew me out of the water. I had been in that position many times of, being an educational coordinator and giving a topic. No one ever said anything to me, like, high five on the way back to my seat, that kind of thing. But with this, people called me, texted me, emailed me. They opened up to me. People who I've known for years opened up to me and told me things. It blew me away,
Wow.
and I was like, "I really probably need to do something with this," and that was 3.5 years ago. So the book has been written, the tour has been done, and yeah, here we are.
How does it feel? Because it's such a like every all of those are such huge endeavors. Writing a book, huge endeavor. People don't
Yeah.
realize how long it takes for all of that. A book tour can be so exhausting and so time consuming. Now that it's all over, does it feel like the day after Christmas where you're like, wait, what happened? Or are you like, God, I am ready for this?
Yeah, it's still kind of in the middle of it as well too, because basically you have like a month after your launch date to like get as much as you can done because that's when all of the hype and focus and attention is on it. So still kind of in the middle of it.
Hmm.
Um, I imagine there's going to be some like sigh of relief when I cross that line. It has been extremely intense. It has been extremely rewarding as well too, because one of the reasons I wrote the book for many reasons, and I do think it will help people just to think about some of this stuff and how it shows up in their life. But I also wrote the book ultimately for my children. Right now, they're kind of younger and they don't really listen to me or believe in the things that I say. But I know life is going to hit them at some point, and I hope I'm around when that happens. But if I'm not, they're going to have something that they can go to and be like, you know what? Here's you know, my dad's thoughts on some of the most important things in life. And it just so happens that, pretty much everyone can benefit from them.
Yeah. Yeah. What can people expect when they pick up the book and read it?
So, all right. I wrote this book for kind of two types of people. One are people who are looking for happiness, and then the second type are people who are naturally happy and are trying to protect it. That is like a something that people don't automatically think about. I myself fell into that category of people who were naturally happy. I just thought everybody was the way I was. But I read a book on happiness. It changed my life. I realized, man, I have something really precious here and I got to protect it. Unbeknownst to me, I was heading into one of the hardest, darkest times of my life. And me knowing that I had a moral obligation to be happy, to, not infect other people with what was going on. I went through a divorce, business issue. There's a lot of stuff going on, but me knowing that I had to do that and be that person, um, as as I'm out in the public, of course, you're going to have people that you can talk to and really open up to, but just to be in the supermarket and just, make someone else's day horrible just because you're going through that's not
Yeah.
fair to people. So what I would say is like when you're reading the book, it definitely is going to be inspirational and encouraging in certain spots, but it's also going to talk about some of the challenges in life and how to get through them. So
Mhm.
if you're expecting a book that's all sunshine, butterflies, and rainbows, this is not going to
Not
be the
this
book.
book.
Not this book. There's some of that in there, by nature of it, but it's kind of easy to be happy, when things are going well. The challenge is when things are not going well. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
maintain your happiness? How do you get back to being happy after you've gone through a really, really tough time or you're going through it? So we do
Mhm.
spend some time on that. So just that's kind of a heads up for readers.
Is the quiz something like now that you say that, because there are ups and downs, is the quiz something that maybe you could take regularly to kind of check yourself on where you are as well? Because sometimes you don't even realize when things have shifted.
For sure. Yeah, it is designed to not be like a one and done kind of a thing. The
Mm.
idea is to take the quiz just off the bat. Just again, you don't have to buy the book. You go take the quiz and just see where your score is. And then that should make you start thinking about some of the most important things in life that contribute to your happiness.
Mhm.
So what I would then do is I would try and focus on that one or two areas that you feel that you're maybe not doing as well as you can in, and then I would work on trying to do better at it. And I'm not saying to maximize your score or anything. We don't really talk about maximizing, we talk about optimizing, because at certain times in your life, a 90 may not be where you need to be. Maybe like a 70 is good because you have so
Mhm.
much going on and you can't particularly devote time to that particular area of your life. So I would say take it regardless of where you are to start, just to kind of get like a baseline. See what pings you as something that maybe I can work on, and then intentionally work on it over the next couple months. And in about 3 to 6 months, or if you feel you've really made a stride in something, take it again, see where you fall, and that's kind of the idea of it.
I don't know if this gives anything away about the documentary, so don't answer this if it does. But did you notice an overwhelming majority of people, one way or the other, either unhappy or trying to protect their happiness? Did that at all come out?
That not so much that I think this is a kind of a work in progress, and I'm not like a professional documentary person. But I think the areas in that we got our volunteers from, it kind of selected a group of people that were kind of in a good place in life.
Hmm.
Generally, well, at least say financially. Um, One of the things that I struggled with, I really don't know how to navigate this, and it's something that myself and my brother, who's kind of like my partner on this, we talk about is like, I definitely didn't want to do any content that was like, you know, to exploit people, to like
Um,
go to homeless communities. Now there is a place for that, and maybe I can do it. My intentions are good, but I'm just really cautious and careful about that, because the very first question is, are your basic human needs being met? And everyone I talked to said yes. But
mhm.
I know if I were in other places, people would say no, and I think that's a whole another level of conversation. So that is something that I've really kind of wrestled with. I've thought about like reaching out to more unhoused communities. I also want to go to prisons and talk to people who are incarcerated, and take the question, give them the questions and see how they respond. And I personally believe that both groups of people, especially people who are incarcerated, because I have a little more information about that kind of world, and I know for sure there are people who are incarcerated who are happy people, and they have
Mhm.
community, and their life, they feel their life has purpose, and they're working towards things. And I know some of them are happy. I don't have so much experience with homeless and unhoused people, but I kind of would, if I can make sure I do it in the proper way.
It sounds like you've maybe got bitten by the filmmaking bug. Does that mean that we've got plans for future things, or maybe future books as well?
Yeah, I have so many books in my head. I have my next book ready. I have a book that's halfway. First of all, I've written a book already prior to this one. So this is my second book. I have a book that's halfway written, and then I have many ideas. Some of them can be books, some of them can be movies. But this particular project is really important for many reasons. One, again, because I feel it can really help people. That's the first thing. The second thing is it would be really nice to get the title of best-selling author. It'd be nice to have a huge, success in terms of like commercially successful, but if I'm helping people, ultimately that's the main goal.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and then I think that also goes back to the happiness equation of like, what is success? What are you defining as success? And are you happy with the outcome of what you've made?
Yeah, yeah.
And then what about the documentary? I know it's available on YouTube.
Yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube, just on our channel. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's perfect. What do you love most about your life right now?
What I love most about my life, my family, they bring me a tremendous amount of joy. 4 kids, married, um, divorced and remarried. So you you learn to appreciate family.
Mhm.
We have a great time together. We travel. We've been around the country many times. We've been overseas many times. Yeah, so that would be it.
Good. I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, come back anytime a book's coming out, anytime anything you're doing, because it sounds like you're going to be a very, very busy man.
I will be, and I really appreciate the offer, and I'm going to take you up on that. So really
Okay,
appreciate it,
good.
Richie.
Don't go away.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get all this situated. My next guest is not only a phenomenal performer, but also someone who truly gives back to her community. She's a Broadway veteran who is passionate about bringing the arts to underprivileged students and promoting cabaret across the nation. Please welcome Ann Kittredge.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Audience, I might have given Richard a heart attack because I was a little late today and I apologize. That was all on me. I messed up and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I
You are
scared.
here. No, no, no. You're here at the perfect time. That's why we have two guests in case someone's running late. You never know. Technology is sometimes not our friend around here on this show.
Yes. Hi.
No, hi. Hi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I really enjoyed listening to Leighton. I have a lot of thoughts about happiness. So it was really, really enlightening to hear that conversation. It was great.
Well, I would love to hear your thoughts on happiness because that's the theme of today's show.
Well, this might but just be a different way of saying it, but I come from the belief that I don't believe in the traditional definition of happiness. I actually think that there are two very specific kinds of happiness.
Mm.
And I divide them between relative happiness and absolute happiness. And in that instance, relative happiness is like, you do really good on a test or you get picked for the team. You know what I mean? And it
Hmm.
just feel like, oh wow, or you won the game. And it's like that's relative happiness. It's something that is connected to something that is outside yourself. You don't necessarily have control over it, but it brings you that happiness and that
Mm.
feeling of wow, I just did something. Absolute happiness, which I think is what Leighton was talking a lot about, is when you acknowledge that happiness is not about being conflict free or problem free, but it's about developing such a life condition that we can approach and confront obstacles with such courage, and and
Mm.
and that our obstacles are there as an opportunity to grow, and as we transform ourselves, instead of blaming people or things around us that we otherwise have no control over. That's when we can make the impossible happen, and that is when happiness becomes the journey and not the destiny. So many people are into, well, I'll be happy when. But if we have the conviction that we have within us the ability to overcome any problem, any obstacle, then that is the foundation of absolute happiness.
Well, goodbye, Anne. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. That's our show. That's perfect. You're giving me goosebumps, and you're making me tear up a little bit, because I was just having this conversation yesterday with my business coach and about, like, especially I think in this world of like online entertainment, and like the bar, you keep setting the bar higher and higher for yourself, and so when you get to this stage of whatever, you're like, that was your goal 3 months ago, and now it's like, but now it could be better. It could be, but and
the but is not about happiness. It's about achievement.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And
right.
to be able to differentiate the two and say, I'm going to have a happy journey to my next achievement, which is not easy. I mean, because then you have to, this is the weird thing for people to really comprehend. You have to allow yourself to suffer in your happiness, to appreciate, and we all have our stuff. We all have stuff that has thrown us, right? Recently my mother died and I was caring for her. She was with me, and it wasn't easy, but I felt such an incredible combination of happiness when she passed and sadness that it was over. You know what I mean? And yet the happiness was stronger, because as hard as it was, my mother had Alzheimer's, so it was hard. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But the whole time it was just about love. I'm going to love her. I'm going to love her. And this is, and this is the happiness of the experience. Yes, it's really hard, what she just said or what she just did maybe, but I sincerely never lost that understanding of the happiness of being able to care for her. I was able, I had the capacity to do that. And that's where my happiness came from, not from the interactions with my mother day to day necessarily, as much as, just being able to be there and being able to do what needed to be done. And that's where happiness is, right? If you want it to be the journey instead of the destination, it's a very, very, very hard thing to break out of. Right? Because you go, oh, when I get this, I'm going to then, and you're like, oh, but that's about achievement. That's not about happiness. I know it's.
What, is there something in your life that made you realize that? Or is that what your mother taught you growing up? Or like, how was your association with happiness?
Well, I became a Buddhist about 28 years ago. And that has definitely changed my perspective on the world. Yeah, that's really it. It's this perspective of otherness, that otherness in a very concrete way, meaning that the world doesn't revolve around me, and I'm going to be a lot happier when I find ways to give back and give to than to take. And it's literally true. I mean, that's literally true. You actually really do prefer, if you try it, you actually do prefer to give than to keep complaining about what you're not getting.
Yeah. I was reading something about sadness and, all the emotions and loneliness. And they suggested that if you're feeling lonely, go find someone else who's lonely and give your time to them, because you're helping two people then. If you're, if you're feeling sad, like, go find someone else to change their day. And I worked in the nonprofit world for a long time, and people give their time, their money for a lot of selfish reasons to make themselves feel better. Like,
Oh,
it's to help other people, but it is about yourself as well. And it can change your world.
You know, my daughter is older now, so I can tell this story. But when she was in high school, she ran away. And I was beyond. I was so beyond. And I was so inconsolable. I couldn't even reach out to friends, or I couldn't even talk about it. I was so freaked out. And but I still remember to this day that, as crushed as I was and as worried, I mean, you're worried stiff, like, oh my gosh, is she okay? And all these different things. It was a rainy day, and I realized that I had to go out and do something for someone. I know this sounds crazy. And it was raining, and I went and I put my raincoat on, and I walked down the street with sunglasses because I was crying, and I didn't want people to see me crying. And I smiled at people. That was the only thing I was capable of doing that day. But I knew that I had to do something because I was so crushed, and I wasn't functioning. And I'm not kidding you. It made me feel better.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, but people must have thought, who is this weird lady all bundled up on a rainy day with sunglasses on, smiling at me? But it was the only thing I could do.
Did you get a lot of smiles back, or did you get a lot of hot looks?
No, yeah. I did get people, I mean, I'm sure I looked weird as hell. I think about that. So, and my daughter was only gone for about 3 days, but still it was.
That's a long 3 days. My gosh.
It was terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you also, since and we talk about this on the show all the time, and the nonprofit I worked for was an arts and health nonprofit, since your business, your career is art, are you able to have an art form of yourself that you use for happiness and self-care, or is it work?
Oh, what a great question. That is such a great question, because I've heard other singers talk about this, about how I won't necessarily put on the radio to listen to music, or put on a streaming site to just put on music, because I can't listen to it the way other people do. So that is not necessarily my relaxing place. But the work itself is relaxing. Like, I've got 2 huge projects going on right now, and I'm literally going like this. And, to people in the outside world, it might be like, maybe you're doing too much, but it's so rewarding to me, that I don't mind it. I don't mind it's weirdly more relaxing for me to be being productive artistically than not.
Yeah. Yes, I just also read this thing where your brain can't have anxiety when you're creating. So you can't be anxious. Yeah. So maybe that's why I'm always in a great mood here. And then when I'm done with the day, it all comes flying out and I feel crazy. But it kind of makes sense, when you're in that flow state, there's no room for anything else, which is great.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, because, if you're really in a creative moment, then you're in the present. And so there's no space for all that other stuff. I think I love that.
Well, you can take it, because I didn't make it up. So you take it, you run with it, you tell your next podcast host. Same thing.
Wilmore told me this, and I know it's true.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. What are you working on now? Where did I go?
I lost you.
What happened to me?
Oh, didn't work.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Well, that's insanity. What happened? This is a live show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for our host to return.
Hold on, we'll take a little break, and I'll go check the the camera, and hopefully we'll be back with Anne right after this.
Okay.
Hey, love. You're listening right now, wondering if you can get really clear about your own next step, about how to navigate whatever messy thing that's sitting in front of you. And the answer is yes. Even if you don't know right now in this moment, or it feels really weird or scary to follow whatever it is you want to do, you absolutely can through coaching. It's a safe place to explore it all and take action using your head and your heart. Email me at stacy@stacyandon.com. Find out all the details and have a no strings chat together.
Okay.
Back!
I have no idea what happened. I'm the least technologically I know nothing about technology.
Oh, come on. This TV thing is so cool.
I know, but you saw me. I screwed it up before. So saw me walking in front of the camera during the other guest. So we'll see what happens here. We'll check back. What were we talking about?
Yeah, you were asking me something. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We talked about if you use art as
yes.
also.
You were asking me what my projects were. You were asking me.
Yes. What's happening? Yes. What is going on? What are you working on?
So believe it or not, and my family is kind of losing it a little bit in a loving way. But I'm working on my Christmas CD, which is coming out the end of this. And can you believe it has to be out by June? You have to have it done by the end of June. So
so I can start listening to it in July. Yes.
Well, no, it doesn't release in July, but and it's just so funny because here I'm singing, yeah, just hear those sleigh bells. My family's like, it's February, Ma. So that and I have a show coming up in New York City in May, and I was invited to do this show. But oh my gosh, can I admit to this audience? Please come if you're in New York City. It's going to be fabulous. But for now, we have no idea what we're doing. So we're very much
in May, right? You said it's in May.
It's in May. We have time. So we have I've got rehearsal today. So we're working out what we're going to do, but. Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm getting this reputation for being very, very out of the box in how I approach music, very respectfully, but also very, I think very, very authentic, and so it's going to be fun to see what we come up with.
Oh my gosh, please come back for that Christmas album because
Christmas
around here is a 9-month holiday. So
I love it. That's
love
great.
Christmas albums. Yes. Were you like a fan of Christmas albums growing up? Like who did you listen to? Because I have like favorites from my childhood that my mom would listen to.
Oh gosh. I mean, I always liked variety. I didn't okay, admittedly, I did love Bing Crosby. I mean, I did. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's all there is to it. But I usually listened to, even when I was young, albums that were, a group of people. I love Ella Fitzgerald's Christmas albums. I love, what's his name? Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire.
Burl Ives?
No, well, I do love Burl Ives too. No, oh my gosh. It's just escaping me. But anyway, so I listened to that, I liked compilations. Mm-hmm. And I still do. Yeah. Like Pentatonics right now is one of my favorites. Have you heard them?
Yes.
Aren't they fabulous?
Yes. I wish I could say they were coming on this show next week, but they're not.
They're fabulous.
Yeah, it's true. I love talking to you that we are I feel like out of time because I only told you like 15 minutes and we have talked about nothing from my notes. But
isn't that great? There's so much more.
I know. So you have to come back. But can you talk about the work that you're doing with the American Songbook and the Capital Cabaret organization? You're doing some incredible work out there and somehow in your free time.
Yeah, I know. I do have to be honest with you. I was much more involved before. I have been in an advisory position at this point. I've been, there was a lot going on in the family. And so I really needed to scale back and kind of take care of myself. But I'm still an advisory for both of those organizations. And one of the things that I'm proudest about as far as my influence for those organizations is that as a parent of the public school system in New York City, I was one of those parents. I was very active. And one of the things that I came to see was when you talk about the disparity between schools and stuff like that, I saw it in a way that really broke my heart, which is that there are a certain there's a certain percentage of schools that are so poor, and the families are so poor. Oh, me again.
I'm gone again. This is real.
Oh, look. Ooh.
Oh, you might have to be the host, Anne. Keep talking, Anne. Just keep talking.
I will. So that they're so poor that that the government funds them very healthy, and they get a lot of arts infused education, which I just personally think is so essential to build the brain, to just teach the brain how to think. And then you've got the schools that are so well off. Good to see you again.
Thanks for being here.
I kicked you out of your own studio.
You're taking over.
Yeah. Then you've got the other schools that are funded by wealthy PTAs. Public schools can have PTAs that are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. They are providing the arts infused programs, right? But there's this middle group of schools that are not quite poor enough to get federal funding, and certainly do not have the parent population to bring in any kind of realistic money for arts programs. And so with both of these organizations, I really instilled in them the point that needs to be their target. You know, it sounds good to say, oh, we're going to the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Yeah. But they don't need us. They don't need us. They've got it. And so to really try and fill the gap. And that's what I really strongly believe. Kids need this. They need this to develop their brains.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, how can people best connect with you and learn more about the organizations and all the stuff that you're doing?
So you can go to annekittredge.com. Everything's on that. If I'm doing a show, I put it on there. If I'm releasing something, it's on there. If anything, everything's there. So yeah, annekittredge.com. Look at that. It's there.
It's right there. And I'm here too, which is also
thank you for coming back
on the show. What final question, and then I'll get you out of here before my camera breaks again. What do you love most about your life right now?
I think what I love most about my life is a combination. It's never black and white for me. It's the fact that I have such a rich family life, and I'm getting to be creative.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're happening at the same time. Often you have to sacrifice one for the other. I'm getting to do both at once for a while.
Not a bad gig. Yes. Do you have, you've been, maybe a last question. You've been in like classic shows like Kiss Me Kate, Music Man. You've been on Law and Order, SVU. Do you have a favorite role? Oh, I knew this was going to happen. This is why I overstayed my welcome. Do you have a favorite role that you've done?
Well, I can tell you that I've been cast 3 times as Marion Peru, and I've been cast 2 times as Eliza Doolittle. So I kind of look at those and go, well, there's obviously something there. So I don't know if they're my favorite. I just love performing. I just love it. I just love it. I don't know. It's hard, but
I love that. It's keep performing, please, for all of us, because you're amazing on every level. I thank you for putting up with all of this chaos.
It's great. I got more time on stage without sharing it with you.
That's true. Yes. Next time I'll put a little spotlight just for you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, sorry for being late.
Oh my gosh, you were on time. You were on time. Don't worry. Come back anytime. Well, I'll be right back. I think. Hopefully, I'll be here when we come back after this break. I don't know anymore.
Listen, everyone needs a co-conspirator to reimagine their lives and uncover the opportunities in the challenges they face. If you are looking for the place where hope meets possibility, and you are ready to create a life of meaning despite the diagnosis, look no further. Helen is a certified professional coach with a background in medical research and an autoimmune diagnosis who brings compassion, empathy, and your best interests to every conversation. Learn more about coaching with Helen at helensampsonmullen.com.
All right. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry, Anne. Okay, let's do this quickly. There's a new episode of Introspection from Grief to Growth, which is a podcast that I help edit and produce. It's out now wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Here is a clip.
I would be doing my own grief ritual around miscarriages that I had. I had a twin pregnancy that ended in miscarriage. And my husband and I did a ritual at the ocean around letting those babies go. And so now when I work, and that, it's a long time ago now, it's more than 14 years ago. But now when I work with people who have had some kind of major loss like that, I'm like, you got to do a ritual. And I think things like miscarriage is a good example when you ask me, what are some other things you recommend? Because I think so often we do the standard rituals, right? Like birthdays and weddings and anniversaries and, funerals and all of that. But things like miscarriage are sort of that silent grief. And so creating a ritual and inviting other people to witness us can really help us move through our grief.
I don't know what's happening, but so we're going to go on tomorrow's show, hopefully with a working camera. Author and historian Doyle Glass and grief advocate Sheila Collins will be here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching the show, and I love you for it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.